options for you, and then I can break down the specifics of how they can get there. Will the Rangers have their first ever Cy Young? Will the Rangers have their first ever rookie starter in the All-Star game? Or will the Rangers set their best regular season record ever?
What's the record?
96-66.
Oh, wow.
2011.
That's doable.
Right now, the Rangers are on pace to go 100 wins and 62 losses.
They only have to win 52 more games?
I mean, that sounds correct.
All right. Because they're at 44, so 96 would be...
to tie the record.
To tie it. Okay. All right. So they need to win 53 more games.
To set the record.
To go into another place of not being recorded what it was.
I think the two that are most doable are Josh Jung winning the third base position in the All-Star game because he's really close to
He's
Chapman.
Less than 5,000 votes away.
Wow. That's awesome. Keep voting, Rangers fans.
Yes, because that round of voting ends on Thursday before they progress to the next one. So
help me out here. What's the progression? Because Mark McLemore is like, crap, I forget. You know, it used to just be fan vote and that was it. But what's the next progression after the fans are done voting?
They're actually going to vote again. But what will happen is, I know.
The fans vote again?
Yeah.
Okay.
After Thursday, they'll take the top two
so they'll eliminate
the
a bunch
final
of them.
round of starter voting. Does that make sense?
Oh, wow. So he's going to get in. So it will. So right now you just vote enough to make sure he's in the top two, and then you got to stuff the ballot box.
And I believe they reset after
it's
that.
like 0-0, right?
And it wouldn't,
I believe
like,
that
it
is
wouldn't be, I know like we want him to be there, right?
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be such a bad thing if he was the backup, right? Like that would be.
Well, you start getting into like, if you don't get voted in, you start getting into crap teams have to have somebody in.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But
that's like
still.
if Jonah Heim, for example, if he doesn't make it, he's not going to make it. Salvador Perez is.
I mean, if he gets to be one of the two, he's in, right?
No.
I thought it was just for starters.
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
Gotcha.
Yeah, what I'm saying is for starters. So if he loses to Chapman, then he
goes into like a whole
goes into the
of
pool. All right.
because you're not going to pick 18 people.
Gotcha.
Right.
So he needs to win it.
Now nobody. Yeah. So he has to
then we need to
win.
reaffirm this. How do we get him in? Do we go on Twitter and vote? Is that how we do this?
Yes. You have and the other thing that people will bring up is the fact that the Rangers are about to start a 6-game road trip is inopportune for the timing of voting, just because you always see an influx of votes
when they're home
for home games.
Obviously, being at the Angel series 7 times during the game, they put on the big screen, scan this, vote now, vote for the Rangers. So you don't get that. You do get it on television, but obviously not everybody. Like one of my buddies, like, man, he loves baseball. He went to one of the Toronto games. He's from Canada. But when you're there and it's kind of in your face, hey, for this minute and a half while you have a break, go ahead and vote.
So that's why it's our job over this time to ensure that we pump this up. All right. We got to be telling people where to go and how to do this. Call to action, everybody.
What was the other one? You had Young, you had best record, and what was the other one?
Young.
Yeah, Cy Young, I would put in third place.
Yeah. Okay, that is interesting. And by the way, people are asking about how to vote. If you go to TexasRangers.com, they literally have a tab up in their news section of Vote Now, Phase 1 of All-Star Ballot.
There you go, Kevin.
So
it's a call to action, buddy.
TexasRangers.com will get you to the spot, or MLB.com/Rangers if you prefer. All right, let's dive back into Cy Young for just a second. Since you said y'all agree least likely. Okay, fair. Is before Sunday's
game. Like the
game.
cupcake situation. Not going to happen.
Oh, my gosh.
I guarantee you.
You are going to run afoul if somebody
I'm going to cupcake you, and then I'm just going to run around and try to not get caught.
How is that going to work? In this room?
I got a whole building.
Oh, my God.
Actually, remember they cut
one
most
of our
of the floor?
shows? Yeah, one of our shows is going to be just me and Reggie. We're going to pull Carter in because Mike and Corey are in the midst of an elaborate cat and mouse game across the building.
Quite literally like Tom and Jerry.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Exactly like that.
All right, what's next?
Yeah,
All
back
right.
to you, Kevin.
So before Sunday's start, which admittedly went poorly for John Gray, there was only 2 qualified starters in baseball that had a sub-3 ERA and a sub-1.0 whip. And that was Nathan Eovaldi and John Gray.
Okay.
That's astonishing That there was only 2, and they were both from the Rangers. Now, I know you're at a point where we talked about the top 5 last week. We're all so tightly packed that a bad start really hurts John Gray. If it was, let me ask you one question to go along with this. If I subbed out Eovaldi for Jacob deGrom, so the numbers are exactly the same, but I'm changing the pitcher, would you think this is going to happen?
Because because Jacob deGrom, his whip is just tremendous.
Yeah.
It was even 0.2 better than Eovaldi just the other day when I was talking about it. I also look at the history. We know that when deGrom is healthy, he can put up an ERA under 2. He can strike out 250 guys in 170 innings. I've pulled up Baseball Reference on Eovaldi, and nothing against him. He's made an all-star team in 2021. That was not a long time ago. So he's shown the ability to make the all-star team, which I think he will.
But you haven't seen like Cy Young, 2nd place, 4th place.
Right. One year in 2021, he finished 4th in Cy Young voting. Besides that, he's never qualified for the vote. So it just makes me think, will he carry this out? Will he carry out the best pitcher in the American League for this whole time? And I lean towards no, but making the all-star team in the next 3 weeks for Josh Jung, very doable. Winning 97 games the way this team is playing, very doable.
Which do you put at the top, though? Because y'all both agreed Cy Young seems least likely. Where do y'all fall with the other 2 then?
For me on the Cy Young part, my reason is I just don't think it can stay that way all season.
Okay.
So I think this is an exceptional moment in the season. And I do think it can continue to be good, but I just that level. I need to see
even
it
Martin
before I believe
Perez
it.
stayed at such a level. I don't even know if he got like any votes. Like at the end, there's just guys with strikeout numbers and names, and it's just very tough to do. Man, I'll tell you what, 97 wins seems very doable, but I'll say this. They're going to have to make 2 to 3 trades to get over 96 wins. And I still think they'll be a 90 to 94. Like, I think they're going to be in that range and make the playoffs, and maybe that wins the division. But I do think for me to believe they're going to get close to 100 wins, they're going to have to trade for a really good starting pitcher, and they're going to have to trade for 1 or 2 relievers.
The other thing, too, towards the end of the season, we kind of discussed this a little bit, how many of those games are important? Versus how many of those games is Bochy just like, all right, we got to start looking ahead.
I believe they'll all be important because of the Astros, because of the Angels, because of Tampa. They're all going to be important because you need the bye. One, you're going to get that because the Central, whoever wins this division is going to get a bye, and whoever wins the East is going to get a bye. But there's too much to play for. It's just going to be impossible for the last 10 games not to mean a lot for your seeding, for winning the division, for possibly the wild card situation where you get the 3 home games.
Because if you're far enough ahead to definitely get the bye, you're probably in a position to battle for the top overall seed in home field throughout. Right. Otherwise, I think you're right about that. And
that's going to be important too.
Yeah. And I just think Houston and the Angels, I'm going to stop crapping on the Angels. I think they're good enough to stay in this.
I'm voting right now, Kevin.
Yes,
Sorry.
by the way, we've had several people. I appreciate that very much from the 6A2. Thanks for reminding me, guys. Just voted for Jung.
Have you voted,
Simeon,
Mike?
And Lowe.
I voted twice. Not today, but I voted twice.
You should vote every day. You should vote twice a day.
That's for other people to do.
Mike,
okay.
Do you want Josh Jung to be an all-star or not?
Yes,
and just for the record, you can vote 5 times a day every single day.
I'll call up my kids and tell them to do it. They got plenty of time.
Okay. Well, we can make that happen as well. So all of the Metroplex, if you're busy, tell your kids they love being in front of screens.
I'm going to single-handedly get Josh Jung into this.
5 times per day, they can vote.
Yeah. Where are the pitchers? I need some pitchers.
You can't vote for pitchers.
Get to vote for pitchers.
Why? This is ridiculous.
All right. I think I agree with you guys about Cy Young being last. I'm going to go Josh Jung starting as the first time. And I want to point out that would be historical for the Rangers as well. They have never had a rookie starter in the All-Star game. And I know that, like, if that happens, you don't go, hey, we did it, and that's a wrap for the season. But that would be pretty cool for a player who he's had a rough road to travel. I know he was a really high pick, but there's been 2 other years where you thought maybe it's his time, and it hasn't worked because of injuries.
I would have never guessed that this would gone as well as it has. I was warning people before the season, please don't give up on Josh Jung because he's not off to a good start or he's struggling this season. He has not played a lot of minor league baseball. He has not been healthy to really experience even a 5-month season in the minor leagues. And I know minor leagues is more of a 6-month season now because of the off day every Monday. So they've expanded minor league season. But I think he can make the All-Star team. The other thing, too, is remember Jonah Heim had a great first half and then started dying in the second half because his body wasn't used to catching every day. I wonder about Josh Jung. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but Josh Jung, tremendous start. Hopefully he stays healthy the next 4 or 5 weeks and he's healthy enough to be in the All-Star game as the starting third baseman. Will his body start breaking down a little bit on him? Maybe not health-wise, as in, like, I have to put him on the injured list, but, like, he's just like, dude, I'm so tired. Like, my body's never been through playing this many games in a row. That's another thing you have to worry about with Josh Jung, too, because he never experienced a minor league season in his career being healthy. How much will his body go at game 110, 115 go, hey, what are we doing here? We've never done this before.
I'm glad that you brought that up because that's the far more important part of it. But also in the back of my brain, I was like, well, that won't impact his all-star status.
It won't impact all-star.
But you're right. That's the far more important part is because who cares if the Rangers lead the league in all-stars? Like, that would be neat, but you would much rather them make the playoffs and make a lot of noise in the playoffs. But for people that have been asking, TexasRangers.com, if you want to go, they've got a tab on there that tells you how to vote, or MLB.com/Rangers.
Somebody said the beatdown on voting is you have to vote for NL players as well, and I don't care about them. No, you don't. I just submitted a vote for the entire Rangers group that's on the ballot, and I didn't
vote.
I didn't have to vote for anybody else. I just submit, and moved on with my life.
Oh,
there you go. Yeah,
okay.
So you can do that if you want to. If that's going to make it easier on you to get these guys in. But man, how bad would it be if you had all Rangers, Kevin, as all-star? The whole team is your all-star, and they didn't even make the playoffs.
I cannot conceive. Man, I cannot conceive of a world in which that happens. That would be really bad.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, you have an opportunity to make a run at the best record in Rangers history. Now, if you're saying, I don't care about having the best Rangers record in history, I get that. Although I would just say it guarantees you a playoff spot. And it doesn't guarantee this, but you're probably a lock to get the bye as well.
And the other thing, too, is when you look at Tampa and how much they're still struggling again on the road. They're a 500 team approximately on the road, a little above.
20-17 for sure.
And they are unbelievable at home. If you really had the aspirations and the dreams of going to the World Series, how important would it be that Tampa has one less home game in that series? That instead of 4 at Tampa, they only get 3 at Tampa, and you get 4 at Texas, because they do seem to be a different team if you take them out of that situation.
Dude, the back half of their season, Mike, they're on the road a lot.
Right.
A lot.
So that's the thing about, I do think all the games will be important in the end, because even if you are at, let's say, 95 wins with 10 games to go, I bet Tampa's right around that number, and if you can somehow be a game better than them, that could be huge if you win the DS part of it, you get to the championship series and you have home field.
Tampa Bay by far has the best home record in baseball. I believe the next best record is the Phillies only have 11 home losses. The Tampa Bay Rays are 31-7 at home. But compare that to their away record, 20-17, which is still good as an away record. That's tied for 7th best.
Back half of the season, they have 37 away games.
I think it's pretty much even.
Okay.
Because they've played 38 home games and 37 road games so far. So I think it's going to be pretty even.
All right.